Howdy. Welcome, all my friends. Welcome to episode 91 of Cliff Notes Live. Wait, 91. Hey, that's getting right up there, isn't it? Welcome to all of you. Howdy, guys. Let me start off with a big old SKD 143. What a crazy 24 hours inside the Big Brother house. Yeah, I figure we'll talk about other stuff if y'all want, but I figure we're going to talk about Big Brother pretty much the whole hour, right? I assume so. But you got other questions, throw them out there. Before we do, let me jump in and see who's out here. Big old howdy to all of y'all. Ma is angry. What's up, party people? Yeah, party indeed. We're going to have a party. I don't know. It was so stressful and dramatic last night. I thought about doing some silly background, some silly reminder. I thought, no, it's almost a little too serious. I don't want to make light of the situation. So I put it what it is. But yeah, we'll still have a party. So howdy, Ma, Michelle Tuller as well. Yeah, we're going to talk about some of this stuff, Michelle, most definitely. Michelle Moore as well. I've seen some stuff on Old Town Road. I've seen past clips, but I'm going to have to look for this new one. I'm looking forward to it. It's so funny when I see some of these things. Brian Hostetler. Yeah, we're going to talk about Michael, Brittany, and Taylor, most definitely. Lawrence. Yeah, listen, maybe looking around a little bit. Marilyn Sutherland. Howdy, Maryland. Heart of all things Kennedy. Howdy, Heart. Donna Vetri and Karen W. Cindy Howard. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Heather Vargas. Gary Force, my Aggies. I still love my Aggies. They're playing Sam Houston State on Saturday. So absolutely. Mark Taylor, Terry Thomas, Nelly, Patty, Jake the Horror Movie Geek. Hey, Jake, how are you doing, sir? Kiki, let's see. Paula Scar. Hey, Paula, how are you as well? Mark Taylor, Vicky Stone. Let's see. Janet Johnson. Hey, Janet, how are you as well? Barbara McGee, Julia Shepard, Carl Wolf, Divine Huerta. I hope I pronounced that right, Divine. Angie. Hey, Angie, how are you? Talked to Angie earlier today. Mark, I don't know if I mentioned you before, but if not, howdy again. John Moretta. How are you doing, John? Colleen Megzerbear. And we will call it at that. Let's see. Mary Tedeschi, Lori Madsen. God, I got so many friends out here. I hope y'all are doing fantastic. The Littlest Winslow, Andy W., Anna Cano, Debbie Kaiser, Curtis Lowe, Hayden's Vlogs, Holly A., Vitamin Kate, Curtis Lowe, Ben Conover. Yeah, we're going to do a whole hour of just calling out names out here. Nah, we'll get into it. Trish Fair, Judith Tucker. Wow, guys. Joanne, Dennis Smith, Jacob Alsip, Jenny Herman, Jenny Carter, Lil LJ Price, Fred Benson. All right, yeah, we're going to call it, guys. I think, and Michael Johnson. I didn't want to leave out Michael. All right, we're going to leave it at that. Bought a condo in Arizona, moved to Babylon. I know what you're talking about. King Tut. Well, when I die, don't take me for no nut. There wasn't no fancy funeral. For those of you who don't know, Steve Martin did a fantastic video. I think it was on Saturday Night Live. The King Tut. That's great. I used to love Steve. I still do. Love Steve Martin comedy bits. He was great. An amazing banjo player, too. I still would love to play the banjo one of these days. Maybe when I'm not doing all these recaps and all of that, I'll do it. But y'all don't want to hear about the banjo playing, do you? You want to talk about Big Brother. Man, do y'all remember? It's just been a week or two. We were talking about Muffin Gate. Who ate Jasmine's muffins? And we were laughing about her hobbling around and all of that. And then just a few days ago, a week ago, we're talking about, oh gosh, it's so boring. They're in the backyard. There is nothing going on the feeds. This is horrific. There's nothing to talk about. Well, all of that changed, didn't it? We went from Muffin Gate to some very serious stuff yesterday. We went from nothing going on to me chasing back and forth between two cameras, trying to watch the feeds and listen to conversations, both cameras at the same time. Lord, it was tough. I saw Brittany doing some meditation right before we came on to do the show. I guess she's still out there doing it. Maybe I need to do a little bit of that as well, because it's been stressful for us as viewers. Having been in that house, I know how stressful it is for them inside the house as well. And not just Kyle. Not just the people direct. Well, everyone seems like they're directly involved in some form or manner, but for everyone in that house, the stress levels right now are so incredible. You got to, they've been in the house now. What are we on, day 54, whatever? They've been in the house almost 2 months. They haven't had any support structure in terms of friends or family, no communications except talking to the same people over and over again. Just as they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, they're starting to envision this final four, final five, where they maybe could go. There's some people already writing their checks for $750,000. And then something like this hits that just throws everything up in the air. It, in a lot of ways, it makes everyone question so much about what they thought was the case in there, about assumptions they made, about who they thought they wanted to work with, not want to work with, who they were going to boot out, not boot out. It all gets flipped upside down with some of the stuff that happened yesterday. It was Annie saying Brittany's meditation is done now. Okay, well, now I feel all refreshed. I gotta say, Brittany, and maybe she talks like she does because she's a hypnotherapist, but there is something about her voice when she does those sessions. I don't know if it's soothing or it's irritating. Can it be both at the same time? It's very sing-song is the way maybe I would describe it, which I guess you're trained to talk like that. I can't say anything negative about Brittany anymore because I listen to the meditation sessions. Now, it's very interesting. She's going to be one of those when we get out of the house. It'll be interesting to have a conversation with her once she is removed from the house, once the season is over. And I got to say that for everyone in the house. For those of you, I did like Hearts of Reality last year, and I met so many people. It is so interesting to meet people that you saw on TV, and you think that maybe you understand who they are and all that. But then you see them away from the gameplay environment, and suddenly it's a little bit different. Some people are exactly the same. Others are, I know there's a few that just caught me completely by surprise. I figured they'd be aloof, or I figured they'd be, whatever. And then it turns out they're just the opposite. So you never know for certain. I'm looking forward to meeting this cast and seeing what their true stories are after they get out of the house. All right, a few questions because we got a lot to talk about. Brian Hostetler, let's go back to that one, Brian. Can't believe that Michael, Brittany, and Taylor pulled it off, and they're going to send Kyle home. Who would have thunk it? And then Panther saying Michael's game move, I agree, was one of the most cynical, cold-blooded things I've seen on the show. You know what? I have always said, and I've said it on Cliff Notes Live, I said it in my recaps, and I said it a lot while I was in the house. I am going to keep gameplay and personal play or personal things completely separate. And as much as possible, I tried to do that in the house. But you know what? There's some times where there are some game moves that intrude, that overlap with the personal and with the real world things that happen in this house. When you play Monopoly, when you play the World Series of Poker, things like that, it doesn't really matter what you do within that game. It's not going to affect you once the game's over, right? So in the truest sense, it is just a game. With Big Brother, as much as I like to be idealistic in the way I promote keeping the two separate, the reality is sometimes the way the game is played is going to have effects on your real world lives and on the personal and all of that. And I think it's happened here. Now, was their move, first of all, I remember just the night before this all happened, and for those of you who maybe don't know what we're talking about, it's Michael and Brittany approaching Alyssa and basically everyone in the house, and mentioning that a few weeks back when Michael was HOH, that Kyle had approached him, had said, look, because of the similar backgrounds of some of the people in the house, and he's talking about the people of color, because of their similar backgrounds, we came together because of desperation of need. But once we're through with that, we have the numbers. Because of the backgrounds, is there a chance that we could have a cookout 2.0, a rehash of what happened last season? And that's what Kyle said. Michael and Brittany sat on it for a while. They mentioned it on Sunday after the veto competition had taken place the day before, and the house blew up as a result. Kyle spent 5 hours in the DR, thought he was going to self-evict. Did y'all think that? I was I thought, man, I hate to see it. I don't want anyone to self evict. My season, Kat was on the block with me week number 1 talking about self evicting. And even though it would have kept me alive, I told her, I said, you cannot self evict. You will hate it for the rest of your life. Please don't do it. And I'm glad it didn't happen here. Apparently, there was a chance for them to have a house meeting. So we can talk about that as well. But yeah, before all that happened, Turner was telling Alyssa, saying, look, they're going to throw all kinds of things at you to try to split us up as a group. Just know that they're just saying it for their own reasons. I don't think Turner was counting on having the conversation that he did with Michael and Brittany, because it did exactly what he warned Alyssa about. It created the division within the after party alliance. Boy, did it ever. Is that not amazing? Was it a game move, or was it done for the ethical best interest of everyone involved? Well, it was definitely a game move. I refuse to believe that it was not a game move, but that doesn't mean that it was only a game move. It is entirely possible that it is something beyond that they thought it needed to be said. I don't know what was in their hearts, so I'm gonna keep it paused. I'm gonna leave it at that and let everyone decide. Was it just game move, or was there also additional in there? I don't know, but very much was cold-hearted, bloodthirsty. I don't remember the words you used. It was pushing the nuclear button, right? Now, having said that, the night before this happened, Michael sat there. I think he was in the Jetsons' bedroom and said, "I think I'm going to make a Hail Mary pass to try to get Kyle's ass on the block." Those were his words. Well, he did it. He did it. So if you truly go in that house and you say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win the game, then I guess that's what can sometimes result as what we saw. If you go in saying, I've got boundaries that I'm not going to follow, maybe you pull up a little bit short on that. Maybe you don't wait till 2 or 3 weeks after it's happened before you have the conversation. Maybe there's things a little different that you can do. I don't know, but wow. It's just incredible as I was watching this stuff yesterday. Incredible. All right, Janet Johnson. Does Big Brother have licensed mental health professionals for you to talk to? Yes, they do. And I can only tell you what happened in season 21, and it could be different now. I would not be surprised if it is a little bit different, but I will say from my own personal experience, first of all, there was a licensed psychologist, psychotherapist. I don't know the exact wording, but there was a licensed mental health person that talked to everyone before we ever went into the house. After we got out of the house, this person talked to us for about a year afterward, just checking in every once in a while. But during the season itself, it was about when we were maybe final 4 or 5. I think all of us got called into the diary room to talk to this mental health professional. And it was just questioning, how are you doing? Are there any stresses that I can help with? And things like that. And it was just to make sure that you were handling everything the way it needs to be handled. So yes, I have no doubt that person is available, not just when they show up to ask you how you're doing, but if you ever need to talk to someone. And I'm guessing that probably happened yesterday. And I know there was a time or two. I mean, my season, there were some people that spent a lot of time in the DR room crying. And I have a feeling that they probably talked to some people like that as well. I know I went in one time feeling a little despondent about decisions I'd made towards the end, and worried about how it was going to affect my game, Nicole's game, and all of that. And I didn't talk to a psychologist, but I talked to some of the producers and just said, look, I'm just feeling stressed about making these decisions, knowing there's $500,000 on the line and all that. So you get support, whether it's some of the producers or it's a psychologist self. But yeah, they understand how stressful it is. They've been doing this long enough that there are people there to help, to kind of talk you off the ledge, so to speak. And I'm glad. People need it. People respond differently in that house. We've seen it. Paloma, she self-evicted for mental health reasons. When you feel like you need to, when you reach that point, I'm not ever going to fault anyone for doing what's best for their own mental health. But sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you just need to take a big breath and know that there's people on the other side that are there waiting for you, that the world has not ended, no matter how much it seems like maybe it has inside that house. So I think it's important. All right, Angie asking, how much does production tell house guests about any controversies they cause outside the house? I have no clue. I will only say, from my own personal standpoint, no one told me anything. Not a word. The only time anyone ever told me anything was after I had won the battle back and then won the HOH a little bit later that evening. One of the producers told me, said, Cliff, you don't understand what a big deal this is that you won it like that. And there's a lot of people that are really paying attention all of a sudden. And so they kind of let me know that, yeah, it was a cool deal, that there were a lot of people outside kind of cheering for it and all of that. That's the only thing they told me. Now, I know during my season, Mickey had hinted at one point that he had heard or been told things that made him think that he wasn't the most well-liked person outside the house. It wouldn't tell us exactly what it was. I, at the time, thought it was just some misogynistic stuff or whatever, but I didn't know. But I do know that at least in that case, it was mentioned. I expect there were probably things mentioned this season. Now, here's the thing. There's different ways to mention it. I would guess that it's not a matter of someone saying, all right, you don't realize that all the things that you've said have got people all fired up. You need to tone it down, buddy. I don't think it's like that. I think it probably is more likely of, you said this a couple of days ago. Have you thought about maybe how that would look to people watching on the live feeds? Do you have any concerns about what you're saying and how that may be received? I have a feeling it's a little bit more hinting around without actually coming out and saying things. But again, I'm just guessing, because I think it's a good thing that I never had to get called out to that level. So, but yeah, I have a feeling they have their ways of hinting around about some of this stuff. Holly A, I think Monty is playing really well, staying under the radar between the two alliances. I agree. Now, let's talk about that for a little bit. The original plan was the after party alliance, right? They were going to stay strong. They were going to try to backdoor Michael. If that didn't work, then they still had Brittany and Taylor on the block. They were going to send one or the other out the door, right? Well, that all blew up. Michael wins veto. I hope y'all know this is this is a spoiler zone, right? I'm not going to keep the spoilers away. If you're not wanting to find out what happened since the last episode on TV, so come back and watch it on replay, because otherwise you're going to get all kinds of stuff spoiled. But yeah, Michael won the veto. He pulled Brittany off today. No huge surprise, right? Who thought he was going to pull Taylor off instead? I didn't. That was a certainty that he was going to pull Brittany off. Taylor's still on the block. The original plan was that, okay, then the after party alliance votes out Taylor instead. Well, now that's not the case, because instead of putting up just some pawn and sending out Taylor, they've got Kyle up. What are the chances that Kyle's going home? Not 100%, because I heard some discussions today we can talk about, but probably still likely that Kyle's going to go home. So you think about the way this thing is flipped. We had this group of 5 alliance that started off. Suddenly now you've got this other group of 5 being Monty and Turner and Michael and Brittany and Taylor. So you've got that 5. You've got the original after alliance, after party alliance. What 2 people share overlap between these 2 groups of 5? It's Monty and it's Turner. Those are the 2 that seem to be in the best position, I think, because now if they go through with this, if they send Kyle out the door, I think they'll probably then go after Terrence and Alyssa. Alyssa and Terrence don't know the order, but of course it all depends on HOH as well. But I could see them going ahead and getting them out the door. And now you've got the final 5 that I just mentioned of Monty and Taylor and Turner and Brittany and Michael. So yeah, I think Monty and Turner are looking pretty good. Now Turner in winning HOH and turning against the original leftovers and not being able to compete in HOH next week, he was very vulnerable. And I think that's one of the reasons that he was so willing, one of the reasons, not the only reason, one of the reasons that he was so willing to go ahead and make the switch and put Kyle up on the block instead of whatever pawn they were going to put up, is because he was feeling so vulnerable. But now he's been promised. I think Michael has told him that, look, we're, in exchange for you doing the right thing, is the way they phrased it, in putting Kyle up, We're not going to punish you for that. So you're going to be safe next week. We're not going to go after you. And I kind of believe that. I think they'll go after Terrence and Alyssa first. So yeah, Turner and Monty probably have 2 safe weeks, unless something happens with HOH. At this point, you never know. But I think I think Monty and Turner both are looking really, really good in this game. And I gotta say, I'd be okay with either one of them winning this whole shindig and taking home that check. There's no one completely clean in this house, right? Everyone has had to play the games that you play to keep going in the game of Survivor, but I feel for the most part they've tried to stay above board and stay above the fray, and if one of them wins it, I'm fine with it. I don't remember where I called Turner out on my preseason picks. I'm guessing I said he wasn't even going to make jury. Monty, I said I thought he was going to be one of the final 5. So Monty's playing as well as I expect him to. Turner has continued to surprise me throughout, which I love watching that. I love watching that guy play. I love watching anyone play who surprises me with the way that they play the game. So yeah, it's been interesting. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Logan Hambrick saying, what were your thoughts when you won the battle back? Man, Logan, I tell you what, it was what an incredible night. First of all, it's not just that I was voted out. It's the fact that I was blindside voted out. I thought I was safe. I truly thought I was safe until the day of the eviction. And then you get your little your senses going, a little tingly, the hairs on your arms stand up and all that, as you see people going into rooms and whispering, and way too many people spending way too much time talking if it's a done deal as far as what's going to happen. So I started getting nervous about it. Then when we gathered for the live eviction, Tommy was sitting next to me, and he put his hands, I can't remember, he put his hands on both our legs and said, guys, I'm really sorry. But I realized he was looking directly at me when he said it. And at that point, I knew, that's it. They're flipping on me. I know what's going to happen. And that's why there was zero surprise on my face when Julie announced what had happened. No one had told me. No one gave me the courtesy of telling me I was heading out the door. But I knew it was going to happen. But I really, when I got out there and I saw that it was the ball rolling, that it wasn't hanging from ropes or anything incredibly athletic, because let's face it, if it was some huge athletic competition, David Alexander was going to kick my rear end in any of that kind of. I beat him in the maze competition, but if it was straight up physical strength or running or endurance, I didn't stand a chance. So when I saw that it was rolling the balls down the ramps, I thought, all right, I actually have a decent chance at this. And yeah, I tell you what actually went through my mind when I won that. One is, oh my God, I made it back into the house. But the second thing was that I knew I had left my job in order to play Big Brother. And my bosses said, look, you're going to use all your vacation, your sick days. We're going to do everything we can to help you out. But there's going to be a point of no return where if you're still there after that point, we're going to have to, you're going to have to give up your job. We'll hire you when you get back, but you're going to lose your job. And I said, it's worth it. I mean, yeah, you got to take the chance and do the experience, right? But it just happened to be that day, or that next day, that Friday, was the last day I had at work before it was the point of no return. So there was a part of me when I won that battle back, I said, all right, well, now I'm in the house. Beyond that, now I'm really committed because my job's going away. So I sure as heck better be planning on staying in this house for a long, long time. Because if I now go home next week, it's going to be terrible. So that's part of what was going on in my mind. But here's the other thing, and this is probably the biggest thing that's going through my mind. I was imagining my family watching back home on the cameras because I knew it was live. And I could picture them feeling so down when they saw me evicted, and then suddenly seeing me win battle back. And I could just picture them jumping and cheering and laughing and hugging and doing all that kind of stuff. And I saw a video later, and they did every bit of that. So yeah, there was a part of that victory. Not only was it me getting back in the house, but there was also part of the victory I was doing for my wife and kids, because I knew how happy that was making them as well to see me stay alive a little bit longer. So what an incredible night. Night number 30 of Big Brother season 21. All right, Slate, how can we send you a few bucks for coffee for your long nights? All right, well, thank you, Slate. I appreciate it. Here's the thing. This is a labor of love. I absolutely love doing these shows. And so I thank you for that. And yeah, a little coffee comes in, is very helpful at times. But here's what I'm going to do instead. Uh, we do a fundraiser called Hearts of Reality. It's for Give Kids the World's Village. They take critically ill children, send them to Orlando. They and their families, they spend a week at a special complex, Give Kids the World Village. It's kind of a make-a-wish situation. It's critically ill children and their families, and they get to spend a week in Orlando completely free, see the theme parks, do all kinds of special stuff at the village and all of that. I'm huge into it. I went last year. I'm going to go again this year. And as part of that, I do have a fundraiser for me. If you're so inclined, and I hope some of y'all are, I do have a fundraising page. If you look at my YouTube channel, at the links underneath my YouTube channel, I'm going to post down the comments as well here in a little bit. But on my YouTube channel, I've got Give Kids the World Village 2022 fundraiser. If you go out there and see that, and if you have the opportunity, the financial ability, just throw a few bucks in there. It would be more than welcome. I don't need any money myself. Well, I always do. I would have loved to win $500,000, but it didn't work out. But now I don't do this for the money. I do it just because I love talking to y'all guys and just having fun with it. But Give Kids the World always could use a little more help with their fundraising. And if you're so inclined, you're able to do so, I always appreciate checking that out. So yeah, thank you so much for that. The other thing, well, yeah, just check out the link on my YouTube channel, and I'll it'll be out there. If you can't get it, send me a DM on Instagram. In fact, I'll post something out on Instagram before too long as well. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, what else do we have on here? Holly, heard there was a house meeting not shown on the live feeds. I know, I heard the same thing. It's frustrating when they keep getting the feeds, cutting the feeds when it gets juicy. Yeah, I know. And here's the thing. First of all, I saw that as well. It seems like there was a house meeting. I'm glad there was. The last thing I would have wanted was for Kyle to leave the house without facing these accusations, and right or wrong, address them and at least let people know what you were thinking, what you're thinking now, what you're thinking about what was just let people know. No one goes into this house perfect. There are 16 people playing the game. Not a single one of them is a perfect, unflawed person. We're all flawed. So I want everyone to always have a chance to address this huge elephant that was in a room in this case, right? And it sounds like he did that. And I wish I knew more about what he said. Apparently he said some things about, that he may have looked at, he realizes now he may have looked at a few things through, I don't remember how he said it, racial lens or something like that. It seems like he was willing to acknowledge that his past experiences and everything may have influenced the way he looked at things. I don't know. I'd like to see it as well. Maybe we'll get it on one of the episodes. I kind of think not. I think CBS has been cutting a lot of the feeds because they're trying to gather a lot of things so they can figure out how they need to portray this on Wednesday and Thursday. There is so much to show. They're only hour-long shows, and they still have to show the competitions and everything else. I don't know how you take everything that's happened now and you package it into a 10, 15, 20-minute segment and give it justice. I just don't know how you do it. And the problem is, no matter what they show or what they don't show, there's going to be people that are going to be upset that you didn't show this when you showed this and you didn't show this. And not everyone is ever going to be happy about the way they put it all together. But I trust them to hopefully put it enough together so that people don't watch live feeds also understand that's what's going on, because it's important. It's as much as I would like to pretend that Big Brother is just this game that's completely separated from the real world and all that. We all bring our real world experiences and our real world issues into the game. And so you can't help but have some of the topics we deal with outside also pop up inside. And I think it's important that you talk about it and that you recognize it, and that you hopefully, not just the people in the house, but those of us watching, that we all learn just a little bit more every time you see something that happens, even if it's a little uncomfortable. Lord knows I've got plenty to learn. I learned from my season. I continue to learn. So I hope they show it and they can give decent coverage of it so everyone understands what was going on. I'll get off my soapbox, but yeah. Colleen Malin saying, it'll be crazy if Taylor goes home over Cup. Yeah, that would cause an uproar. Yeah, and Joe Chada saying, Kyle is great for vetoes and can win comps and take shots for Monty and Turner. Well, you're right, and here comes a big issue that the people in the house have to deal. We just watch and see. Remember last season with the cookout, there were times, Tiffany's one of the ones I remember, where it came down, do I actively play the game that is going to give me the best chance to make it to the very end, or do I do what I think is maybe most important for my group, and in their case, for the cause? And she had to make this, and not just Tiffany, there were several people in the cookout that had to do this. Am I playing the game for me, or am I playing it for something else? And I feel like there's some of that taking place right now, because I can see scenarios where it makes sense to keep Kyle in the house. First of all, Kyle's a huge target. If Kyle stays in the house, then next week, there's a lot of people that are going to put him up on the block as a number one target, right? So Kyle right off the bat represents a meat shield, but you're right, he also can win competitions. So there are strategic reasons that there are people who would want to keep in the house. Do you go with those strategic reasons, or do you go with what you feel in your heart, in your soul, in your mind? Do you base your decision on who to vote out on something other than what is strategically best for your game? And I'm not going to say that one is better than the other. Every person has to be able to live with their decisions. Now here, let me point this out. Someone asked earlier about the psychologist. I talked to the psychologist after I got after I was evicted from the house. And I said, look, I'm having a hard time trying to decide who I'm going to vote for in the final two. Do I vote for the person I feel like deserves it the most, or the person that I think maybe is the nicer person, the person that I'm most comfortable with? And at the time, I came to realize whatever decision you make is a valid decision. There's no right or wrong. You have to make the decision that you yourself are going to feel most comfortable with going forward. And I feel the same way in terms of Kyle versus Taylor and how it proceeds forward. But there certainly have been some conversations earlier today. Terrence was talking about it. Terrence was also saying beyond the strategy that maybe there's something to be said for keeping Kyle in there and letting him learn a little bit from what happened, and not go out on such a sour note, but maybe learn and grow in there. And then maybe he still goes home, but at least he's had a chance. So there's a lot of things coming into play in this decision. But you are right. If Kyle stayed and Taylor went home, Twitter would just blow up. It would no longer be Twitter, it'd just be Twit, because half of it would break off and float away somewhere, just from the pure energy that would implode from such a decision. Yeah, that would be interesting. And I'm not saying 100% that Kyle's going home. I still think it's probable that he's going home, but there's that possibility. Thursday's, still a few days away. So I don't know. As crazy as this week started off, why should it get easy going forward, right? Why should it not be anything but chaotic for the next few days as well? We shall find out, right? All right, the Littlest Winslow. Hey, Littlest Winslow. Would you play again? Yeah, I'd play again. But watching days like yesterday makes me think that the old hair on my head would perhaps, I don't know if I could handle another season of Big Brother. I'd probably finish up the season either bald-headed or with just silver gray hair from front to back. It is stressful. It is incredibly stressful. I remember all the good times while I was in the house, and there were a lot of them. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with sitting around a swim pool for the summer and playing a game. That's a pretty cool way to spend the summer. But yeah, there's a lot of stress. And when I was in there, I was in the house 93 days. It's a long time to be away from the family and friends and all of that, and dealing with everything you deal with. But having said all that, yeah, I'm always going to pick adventure when I get the opportunity. So yeah, all CBS has to do is call me. Doesn't even matter what show it is. Call me for Big Brother. Call me for Amazing Race. Call me for the challenge. That would be tough. I'd make sure my will's written out before I did that. Call me for Naked and Afraid, whatever. Yeah, I'm always one that's willing to jump in and take on any risk. I don't like saying no to new opportunities. So yeah, give me a call, CBS. All right, Aura saying, do you ever have guests on? Would love for you to have Kat on for your Monday after Zingbot, so you can give her your own zings and talk about the show. Now that would be a lot of fun. I don't think I'll have Kat on during the season because one, we're so busy talking, but I also know that Kat does her own show, uh, some kind of podcast, but she also does her exit interviews. What a gig that is. Boy, let me ask some questions to the house guests. I'd have fun doing it because I would ask house guests slightly different questions. Everyone asks them the same kind of questions. I feel like I'd want to know a lot more questions just about living in the house and the experiences they went through and all that. But yeah, I probably won't do Kat because I know she's busy this time of year. But the original question: do you have do you have guests on? Yeah, occasionally. I've had Nicole on. I've had my kids on. I've talked once the season's over. I'm going to get my brother Bowie on, who was on the first season of The Apprentice back in, when was that, 2001? Back when Donald Trump wasn't president. He was just a big, rich billionaire businessman. Man, if he ever was a billionaire. But yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I'd like to get some more guests on as well. And Kat would be fun. I always have fun talking to Kat. We talk every once in a while. Yeah, that'd be fun. But probably not till after the Big Brother season's over because I'm talking to you guys right now. But yeah, we'll do that. She'd be fun. All right, Cindy Hire, hoping to be at Hearts Reality with my daughter. I hope so too. That would be great. It's cool. The Hearts Reality, and I know I mentioned it as part of the fundraiser. When we do this thing, all these reality people show up from The Circle, Love Island, Amazing Race, Big Brother, Survivor. It's primarily the CBS shows, but we also get some Naked and Afraid folks and some other people in there. But we all show up at a hotel. We hang out for a couple of nights, meet a lot of the fans, do autograph signings, go to the village. It's just a lot of fun meeting everyone and just talking in a very relaxed setting about everything that goes on in life and behind the scenes and things like that. Anyone can go. It's you buy tickets for it. If you go out there, you can do a Google search either for Give Kids a World Village or probably even better, Hearts of Reality. And they've got the dates and there's tickets you buy if you want a package that includes hotel rooms or just show up for the autograph sessions, things like that. But yeah, it's open for anyone. But I go around, I'm just starstruck. My jaw's just dragging the ground, meeting all the people there that, Survivor people. I took a taxi back after the event was over. I rode in a taxi with Sarah and Sandra from Survivor. It's like, man, I'm sitting in this taxi with two millionaires, multi-millionaires in Sandra's case, millionaires, riding back to the airport, just shooting a bull with these two people I'd seen on my TV screens that were always so impressive. They're so friendly, so nice. Yeah, it was an incredible experience for me. And I got to meet back up with all of my season house guests and all that. It's a lot of fun. And seeing all the Survivor folks, and I got to see all of Big Brother 23 when they showed up. Most of them were there. I would expect, I don't know, I was going to say I'd expect Big Brother 24 to show up. I hope they do. I hope no one feels so soured by the experience that they don't want to participate in fundraisers and things like that. Having said that, there's a few people that have left this season so far that could very well be soured on the experience, right? It's been a rough season. I mean, we had a few during my season as well, but this season, it just seems like there's a lot of people who have left on a less than positive note. And I hate seeing that. I empathize, I sympathize with every single person in that house, regardless of whether I think they did dirty, they didn't do dirty, they played well, they didn't play well. It doesn't matter. I empathize with every person who went in, put their whole lives on the line by going into something that's a 24/7, cameras are everywhere around you, and were willing to open themselves up and play a game. And it kills me to see anyone suffering. It killed me to see Taylor, the tears on her face during those first weeks or two, and feeling so alone. And it is incredibly depressing seeing her the way she is feeling. And I feel the same way when I've seen some of the other house guests, including Kyle yesterday, looking so alone and distraught. It has nothing to do with what the person has or hasn't done. It's just seeing a person suffer in this game, because that's not what they came in for. They came in to have a cool, fun summer experience doing something that so few people have a chance to do, and to see everything crashing around them for whatever reason. It breaks my heart every time I see it. So I sympathize for all of them. All right, what do we have on here? Michelle Moore, wish we could see the jury house. Well, we're going to see it pretty quick, right? They always give a couple of segments, and we've got Indy in there, and now we've got Jasmine and Joseph, so we'll have 3. We'll get 4. I have a feeling I don't know if they got time for a segment this coming up Wednesday or Thursday, so we may have one more week before we get the jury house. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Now, here's the deal too. Y'all think about this. Let's assume that Kyle does go home. That even though there's some little talk that maybe they keep him, I think he'll go home. If you're Kyle, how do you handle when you go into the jury house? Because the first thing that's going to happen is Jasmine and Joseph and Indy are all going to say, "Oh, what happened? How are you here? What's going on?" It's going to be tough for him to kind of talk about everything that went down and how it went down and all of that. And I hope the house guests that are already there are receptive and welcoming and understanding. Yeah, Joseph and Kyle probably not on the best of terms already. Forget everything that happened here. Joseph got burned by Kyle. So and Indy blamed it on Kyle too, didn't she? Or was it Jasmine? I don't know. They may all be blaming it on Kyle. I can't remember now. So yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for them to adjust to not playing the game and to know that their journey is over in terms of Big Brother and the prize and all of that. But I think they'll have it a little bit easier than I did, because when I got booted, I didn't get the advantage of the jury house. I went to a sequester spot all by myself for that last week. So I didn't get the chance to hang around with the rest of my castmates and kind of share, woe is me, woe is you, we're both out. I didn't get to do any of that. It was just me by myself with my thoughts. And I always thought if I'd had them to talk to a little bit, it would have made it a little bit easier to transition and all that. So I hope it works out better. But yeah, I want to see the jury house as well. I've heard they get to do all kinds of fun stuff at that jury house. Fancy meals, swimming pool. Sounds like a pretty nice, luxurious place to hang out. I'm glad I was in the house long enough I didn't get a chance to experience it, but it still sounds pretty cool. All right. Let's see what else we have on here. Cindy said, I think Daniel's happy to leave. I think he was ready to leave. I think Kyle may be ready to leave too. Lori H. Wondered if the entire storage room is refrigerated. Lots of things on the counter. Yeah, there's none of it refrigerated in there. The refrigerator is refrigerated. That's it. It's just your basic pantry storage room. Just as a FYI, the door you walk in, and then you've got the refrigerator next to you, right? And then you've got the counter with all the stuff just thrown on there. On the far side is a little counter where you keep your spare microphones and batteries and things like that. So every morning when we wake up, we have to go in the storage room, change out our batteries and do that. Now, what you may or may not realize, some people see it, they don't try to hide it, but right next to that counter is a little door that leads outside the Big Brother house into, I don't know, some dark hallway or something, I guess. But there's a big red button next to it. And we are always told, if there's an emergency, if there's some crazy something going on, push that button. It's going to unlock the door, get outside, and fair enough. But if you ever push the button and you walk outside and it's not an emergency, your journey's over. You're not allowed to walk out that door. Now, I feel like maybe Meta World Peace did that during one of the Celebrity Big Brother versions, and somehow he managed to get back in as well. But yeah, no, the storage room, it's just a storage room. There's nothing fancy about it. I guess everything is left on the counter with the knowledge that it's not going to be here for more than a week, and we'll clean it out. We'll put new vegetables and everything else in. Yeah, because it's just left out for, it's not cold in there. Not cold at all. All right, what else do we have on here? Train driver Carl says, when did the second diary room come along? During my season. I was great. I think at some point during the pre-show or so, or during my sequester, something was mentioned about an upstairs diary room, or I maybe saw it on a floor plan or something. I don't remember, but I remember talking to the producers at one time saying, "Oh, I'm so excited getting ready to go in the house and see what it's really like." And I told them, I said, I didn't even realize there was a second diary room. I had no clue that y'all had a second diary room. And they said, "Oh, yeah, we do." Well, they didn't tell me that it was brand new to our season. That it was a new addition. So yeah, we do have a second diary room, but it started in my season. It's not really used. All those diary room sessions where you see where someone's talking about everything that's happened, it's not really used for that. It's used more for if they have a message to give you, if there's medicine that needs to be left for you, anything that's kind of non-game related type stuff. You can go up there and so say someone has to take medicine. You'll get called up there. You'll walk in. There's a chair sitting there, and on the chair may be your medicine or whatever. So it's things like that. But yeah, there's a second diary room as of 2019 that's up there. I don't know what it was before that. Maybe nothing at all. But yeah, I've got that. All right, let's see what else we've got. Barbara McGee, curious if Zingbot zings each house guest and they choose the best for the episode. No, it's not a matter of editing out and choosing the best. What you see on the episode, at least based on my experience, what you see on the episode is absolutely what you see on the show itself. Now, having said that, I think when we did ours, there was a little downtime between each zing where we're just kind of standing around saying, all right, well, that was funny. All right, when's the next one? And you wait and wait. And then all of a sudden you hear the voice come across of Zingbot and you go to the next one. So I'm sure they edit out in between to tighten it up a little bit, but it's not like they told 10 jokes on each of us and then they picked the one that had the most reaction or anything else. No, it was just basically one zing for each of us, and then we're done with it. How I was kind of halfway thinking we were going to get Zingbot this week. It was about time for it, but we didn't. How hard is it going to be for Zingbot next week? As stressful and as much tension exists in this house to have Zingbot next week. Now, I guess whoever goes home, Kyle or Taylor, they'll already be out the door. Maybe everyone will just kind of take a deep breath, do a little meditation with Brittany, and be up to speed and be in a much better mood for Zingbot. Because you want to have fun with it. Even though you know Zingbot's going to roast you and say horrible things about you, you want to be in a happy mood to receive it. And maybe they will be by the time Zingbot shows up, because he's got to show up next week, I would expect, right? So yeah, but you just get your zing and that's it. And Lord knows, it's such a shame Jasmine's not going to be in the house to get a zing. It's such a shame Kyle's not going to be in the house to get a zing. And Alyssa, I truly thought Alyssa was maybe going to get zing somehow related to Kyle and pool floaties and things like that. But that may be kind of off limits as well at this point. I don't know. They'll come through. They'll come up with some good stuff. Vicky Stone saying, what was your zing? My zing started off with saying, house guest, you've spent all season with a player who has the most voluptuous figure. Howdy, Cliff. Zing. It was something about that. They made it sound like it was going to be Jessica because she was a plus size model. So lean it all up, making it sound like it's welcome to Jessica, and then suddenly it's me. All right, yeah. I'm a chunky guy. I get it. I've never been a fan of the zings. I mean, I don't care. I'll own it. I did my promotional pics in a swimsuit. They said, "You want to put your shirt on?" I said, "No, not really. I'll own it." And so I don't have any problem with that. But I've never been a huge fan of the zings that kind of body shaming or that go after someone's physical features. Yeah, you don't need that. I know they went after Tyler the year before, and I thought that was a little brutal. And there's been some others like that. Just go after the gameplay that we've done and then the idiotic stuff that we've done in the house. But yeah, that was mine. I was kind of yeah, all right. You could have done better, Zingbot, but whatever. Zingbot, Savior 777 Fair said, I wish Zingbot popped in often, mostly after a house guest is evicted. You know, that's actually a pretty cool idea. What if you just had Zingbot's voice come over the speakers every once in a while, even if Zingbot doesn't actually come into the house? Just when someone in a house does something particularly boneheaded or silly or whatever, it just has Zingbots like, hey, you, yeah, drink more coffee. That's smart. Yeah. Well, whatever it may be. But yeah, that'd be fun. I'm always happy if they want to involve Zingbot a little bit more into the game and the process. because you got to have humor in the game, and you've got to be able to laugh at yourself. And that's why I think Zingbot's so great and why we all look forward to it. It is so stressful. You're so worried about making all the right decisions. You have to be able to just step back and say, this is just a game. We're just doing it for fun. And nothing like being reminded of that as being reminded that you're a bonehead and you did something stupid while you're in the house. And Zingbot's not going to let you forget about it, right? So you have to be able to laugh. You have to have thick skin, which means you have to be able to laugh at yourself. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be playing Big Brother in the first place. But I know some people, including some people during my season, who were incredibly offended by the zings that were issued at them. And I'm not going to throw out names because it's not my place, but there were one or two people did not like the implications and the zings that were directed at them. And I'll let y'all try to figure out who that was. There are a couple of good ones during my season. All right. Zachary Weiss saying, Pooch is going to Hearts of Rowdy. I saw that, and I'm looking forward to talking to Pooch. Slate saying Daniel can dress up as Elvis at these events. Would he? I mean, yeah, he can, and it would be interesting if he did. Yeah, we'll see. They'll fit right in. One night you have to dress up. If you go out and look at my Instagram, when you're checking out Hearts of Rowdy, you can find the link on my Instagram account up at the profile part. And while you're out there, scan down, you'll see a picture of me from Hearts of Rowdy last year. And there's one night that you either dress up as a superhero or you dress up as a pirate. I kind of wanted to dress up as Fat Batman, but it didn't work out. I dressed up as a pirate instead with the dreadlocks and everything else, and that worked out pretty well. So yeah, Daniel would fit right in if he came as Elvis. That'd actually be pretty cool. I don't know. I've seen him in the house on the show. I don't know how I'd take him now as an Elvis impersonator as well. It'd be kind of interesting. That'd be fun to see. All right, Annie Berger saying, do they purposely put ants in the house? Lord, those ants, those poor outsiders that were having to spend a week outside, apparently just sleeping outside, ants crawling all over them. No, they don't. I say they don't do it intentionally. Maybe they do. Is there an ant wrangler who sits back there and says, okay, these house guests have had it easy enough. Bring in the ants. Go out to the ant farms and gather up some ants and bring them in. Maybe. I wouldn't put it past Big Brother to do it. But no, I don't think that's the case. Where do they come from? I don't know. It's a studio lot. You wouldn't think that you should have massive number of ants crawling around where it's nothing but big old sound stages and not necessarily a whole lot of food or anything else, but somehow they sniff it out. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the only place there's food, and all the ants in that whole studio have their own little you gotta figure these ants probably count up all year saying, God, like, when is Big Brother going to start again? So we can get all those idiots in there with the food and all of that stuff. Hey, it's time, guys. Head that way. Takes them a few weeks to march across the studio lot till they get to where the ants to the studio is and Big Brother house. I don't know. They've had it bad this year. With us, I've said it on here before. I think it was probably, I don't know, week 8 or 9 before we ever had ants. And when we got them, we stopped them in their tracks. They were in the backyard a little bit. We had a fridge back there. They were all over the fridge. They started to come in the house. We saw them on top of the refrigerator once inside, but we sprayed and we tried to treat them. Tommy Bracco does not like ants from my season. And he was very diligent in trying to take those things out with ant traps, with ant sprays. He was up there every day. He probably saved all of us. But yeah, we didn't have it nearly as bad as these house guests seem to have it this year. It's been pretty rough. So yeah, just one more thing you have to deal with in that house. Mark saying, what room did they use for the tiny bottle competition? Well, I can tell you a little bit, but I can't tell you everything. It is not the backyard, as expected, because the house guests had been out there. There is another room on the studio lot. It's close to the Big Brother house. It's part of the Big Brother house. It's I don't know exactly when, because when you're taken from the main house to where that competition takes place, we're completely blindfolded and we're led there. So it's close, and I can't go into a lot of detail, but partly because I don't know. But there is a separate room that they do some of the that for us they did the activity competition there, which is why I know where that thing was filmed. But it's just an extra sound stage or extra room. I don't even know how to describe it, because when we walk in and we see the set, that's the first thing we see. Until that point, it's all blindfolds and private and everything. They were so strict on that. You did not go anywhere outside that house ever without being blindfolded. When we were led into the house to start the season, we were all blindfolded so that we couldn't see anyone else before we walked up on stage. We couldn't see anything as we're being led to the Big Brother house. It's all, they keep us literally in the dark. So yeah, it's a separate room, but I can't give you much more detail than that because I just don't know. All right, 7:55. All right, we'll get through a few more as much as we can. Chuckster's Adventure saying, I want Instagranny to come back. Yeah, Instagranny and Brett. That was pretty funny following him around. It was one of the classics. A lot of fun. I would have been laughing so much in that house when we had our own version of Instagranny. We had Al Alien come back for our season that bothered Jack Matthews, followed him around and did horrific things to him. And so, yeah, that was kind of fun too, but you're right. And we haven't had that for the last couple of seasons. And I'm sure it's COVID protocols and all of that. No one goes in because of that, but you're right. I'm ready for it to come back. That was a fun little departure from boring day-to-day activity in there. So bring on the Instagram. That was probably the best of that character actor, whoever it is. It's probably the best, the most memorable of all the ones we've seen over the seasons, right? Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching that. All right, what else? Patricia Miller, do you think there'll be another punishment this season? What do we have? We're down to 8. We're getting ready to be down to 7. I don't know. Maybe. I'm trying to think when we had our prank week when Nicole and myself and Jessica all had to smash the pies in each other's faces. It was maybe right about now. It was past the jury phase, if I recall. It had to be because Jack was already out of the house. So, yeah, it was about this time of the season that we had that punishment. So, yeah, I could see one more taking place. Now, once you get to final 5 or 6, I think everyone gets so focused on the game, Big Brother doesn't want to interfere with that by making anyone do anything that's uncomfortable, silly, whatever. So, if they're going to do it, I would expect it to be very quick. Maybe Zingbot brings some punishment for someone else. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe someone has to dress up as Zingbot and walk around and say horrible things about the other people in the house for a week. Oh, I'd hate to be the person that did that, but in a way, it'd be cool if the lines were provided to you and no one held it against you that you said all these things. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, we may get one more. I don't know. We'll see. All right, Chaz is saying, do you think we'll get a traditional double eviction this season? I don't know. I haven't added up the days. The fact that the season is only 82 days, it makes me think that probably so, because we're on day 54. So what does that give us? That gives us 28 days left, and we're down to the final. We'll be down to the final 7. 3 more evictions takes you to 4. You need to get rid of 1 more. Yeah, it seems like we probably could have a double eviction. But if they're going to do a double, they need to do that pretty quick as well. I wouldn't expect it this week. So you're going to then be down to 6. Would you do a double and get it to 4? I don't know. I don't see that. So maybe, I think if they're going to do a double, it would have to be when you go from 7 down to 5. And if that's the case, then we're talking, well, I guess it wouldn't be this week because that's when you go down 7. The next week then would go from 7 to 6. So a double would take you 7 to 5. Yeah, I could see it next week. I mean, not this coming up Thursday, but the following Thursday. If it's going to happen, I think it'll happen then, which means Julie will probably tell us about it this Thursday, whether it's going to happen or not. I guess. I'm not so invested in double eviction. Now, my season double eviction was fun. Nicole won the HOH. I won the veto. We controlled the house. But for the most part, yeah, it's stressful. It's quick paced and all of that. And if they don't do it this season, I'm okay with it. I kind of like the twist, even though I wish it hadn't been all week long. I wish it had only been a couple of days. But I kind of like the idea of splitting the house up and doing 2 separate votes and all that. The thing I would have done differently on that, and I think I said this last week, I would have let the outsiders, all 5 of them, vote to send out whichever of the 2 insiders they wanted. And then the 5 insiders get to vote out whichever the 2 outsiders that are on the block, and do it like that. So you get more votes, and I think that would have been fun. So maybe they can do that next season. I don't know. All right, it is 8 o'clock. I think we're going to shut it down. First of all, I didn't I did mention, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. If you do that and turn on notifications, you'll get alerted every time I post a new recap of the morning recaps of this show once it gets published. If you go out there and want to give me a little thumbs up, that's always appreciated as well. I mentioned Hearts of Reality. Please check out the, I'm going to post a link when I get done here. So check that out. But also you can find it on my YouTube channel, or if you go out to either Twitter or my Instagram account, you'll find the link out there. And I always appreciate y'all helping out the village. It means so much to me. The other thing I was going to mention too, if you search for my name under on eBay, you'll find a Buy It Now auction, and it's good for a 15-minute conversation. We'll do a Zoom call. I'll tell you everything you want to know and give you the scoop on everything. We'll talk about Big Brother this season, my season, whatever you want. It's a Buy It Now. Now, Cindy won an auction, and I think she can confirm. Y'all know me. I'm a talker. It says 15 minutes. I don't talk for 15 minutes. I think Cindy and I talk for around an hour and a half, and I'll give you as much time as you want as well. So, yeah, and again, that's a fundraiser for Give Kids the World also. So if you're interested in hearing me go on and on just a little bit more, or you got someone else that may be interested, check out my auction on eBay as well, and I appreciate that also. All right, guys, last thing I'm going to say, morning recap. I'm still doing it, so I'll be out here tomorrow morning, give you all the scoops. So if you want to see what happened overnight, check that out. And finally, we'll shut it down. Brian put up the link. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, sir. I absolutely appreciate that. Finally, guys, SKD143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love all the reality fans. Love the Big Brother fans, but especially love you guys out here watching live and watching on replay. Thank you so much. What an incredible night of Big Brother. Oh my gosh. The rest of this week may be just as exciting. Watch it. Let's come back next Monday. We'll talk about some more again. I hope I answered a lot of questions. I know I didn't get to all of them. I tried. I promise I tried. Guys, y'all have a great Monday. Have a great week. I will talk to y'all next week, or I'll talk to you tomorrow morning at the recaps. Till then, have a great one. Cheers, my friends. Bye.